Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal channel. Welcome back to brand new video. Another disappointing transfer window for Arsenal as we sign no one at the end of January. The market is closed. Arsenal didn't get anyone in, not even a player on loan. I mean, this is the second consecutive disappointing transfer window from Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Last summer, we did a couple of crap signings. This is Mika Marino, this is Raheem Sterling, signings that have not helped the team in any way, shape or form. They're injury prone and we are facing a lot of injuries this season, and they're also not up to standard and quality when they are fit. So we thought that maybe January would be a way of getting, this squad a little bit together, bringing in someone who could be a little bit better, maybe a striker, maybe a forward. Saka is injured, Gabriel Jesus is injured as well. Arsenal ended up with nothing in a market where Mathys Tel was available on loan without an obligation, in a market where Ollie Watkins was available for 60 million euros, in a transfer market, in a transfer window where you could get Victor Gyökeres for around 70 million euros. Arsenal walked away with nothing. And that means that we have exposed ourselves to go and fight Liverpool with such a thin squad, with such an injury-prone squad, and with such a squad that has players, for me, this season, that have really, really fallen off. Are we going to see, a magical rise in quality, a magical rise in form from these Arsenal players? It happened last season. If it happens this season and Arsenal win the league, fair enough to Mikel Arteta. But if we don't, that is where the board and Mikel and the Kroenkes have got to take full responsibility of the poor transfers that have happened in the summer and in January. What did you make of our transfer window? We were linked with about 60, 70 players and Arsenal signed exactly none. What did you make of that? Who are you angry with? Who are you disappointed with? Is it the manager? Because as far as I understand, Mikel Arteta said that all the players that were available were not his long-term targets, and therefore he decided against going for any of them because that would hinder him from trying to get his main targets in the summer, which are Isak, Nico Williams, Martin Zubimendi, you name the list. Are you disappointed with the Kroenkes because they did put enough pressure on this manager to tell him, listen, this project is at a time where you could, win something. Let's go and do some deals, and then probably in the summer you could offload one or two players and then get in some of the players you want. What about the sporting director? Obviously, we have an interim sporting director. We don't have a main one. I mean, could that be a reason why we didn't do much of the deals? Possibly yes, possibly no. But of course, a lot will be discussed in this episode. So let's start off with the general closure of the window. Yesterday, Arsenal had talks with Bayern for Mathys Tel, and the talks broke down. And what I don't understand about these talks is this. Reportedly, according to my sources, especially Florian Plattenberg, Arsenal were in talks with Bayern to get a dry loan, right? To get a dry loan for Mathys Tel. What Arsenal wanted was to get Tel on a loan without obligation or without an option to buy. And Bayern declined to that and Arsenal walked away. That is what we were told. How come then that Tottenham Hotspur have Mathys Tel announced as their player on a dry loan without an option to buy and without an obligation to buy? Make that make sense. I mean, there is a lot of lies and a lot of PR, spinning that has gone into this team, and I don't believe whatever comes out now. Because if you're telling me that Mathys Tel didn't join Arsenal because Bayern wanted, someone to commit to buying him, a permanent transfer or an obligation to buy, then there is no way Spurs were going to get him. Actually, initially, Spurs had agreed to pay 60 million euros to Bayern for Mathys Tel. However, Mathys Tel said, I don't want to go to Spurs permanently. He waited for Arsenal and he waited for Manchester United. That is pure laziness. That is pure laziness. For Spurs to take a player that you want on loan without obligation, that is like really, really bad negotiation. It's so poor negotiation. I can't explain it. And it goes back to not having a good sporting director. You've got to have, I remember saying this in December on my old channel, you've got to go and get a good sporting director before you get into the January transfer market. Because that is what good sporting directors do. They negotiate good deals. That's a very good deal for Spurs. Mathys Tel is a very good deal for Spurs. Now, Spurs have Dejan Kulusevski, Mathys Tel, Brennan Johnson, I think, do they have Timo Werner still there, as well? Look at the team. I mean, I'm not saying I'm admiring them, but adding Mathys Tel to that team with Dominic Solanke injured, that was ambitious. I think the Dominic Solanke injury is equivalent to the Gabriel Jesus injury. But the difference here in these two teams is that one team has been, so positive and they've gone for it, and Arsenal have been so negative. We have just coiled. Oh, we don't want them. Oh, they're not. Just bring in someone on loan, pay their wages. If it doesn't work out in the summer, you can go for your main target. No one of us is saying, why didn't we sign anyone on a permanent? All of us are saying, why didn't we try to do something? So for me, the Mathys Tel deal really made me angry, because this is a young lad, French international, big future. And you look at Ethan Nwaneri, and you look at Lewis Kelly, and you look at Bukayo Saka, and you look at the pathway of these players. I think Mathys Tel is definitely on the same road. Now, it's not better than any of those probably, but what I would say, if you have Mathys Tel, you don't have to pray so much that Raheem Sterling comes good, because we already know that Raheem Sterling is not going to come good. The guy has already missed 3 penalties in one season, and that tells you everything you need to know about his confidence this campaign. Raheem Sterling is not going to come good. It was a massive opportunity for Arsenal to bring in Mathys Tel to just cover up for Saka, just interchange positions with the likes of Gabriel Martinelli. And I also think that right now, Martinelli is not good on the right wing. Like, if you brought in a player like Mathys Tel, you would have solved that problem for once and for all until Saka comes back. So it's either Arsenal thinking, well, Saka is going to come back quickly anyway, or they're just adamant that we don't have a lot of football to play in February and April. I think that's it, because you have very, very few games in Feb. You have few games as well in March. Maybe that's the reason Arsenal are like, okay, we don't have hard fixtures coming up, and we don't have many fixtures coming up. By the time Saka comes back in April, everything will be, all right. There's going to be a lot of football in April and May, but Saka will be back. Maybe that's the reason. But apart from that, I don't understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Ollie Watkins, because this morning, according to David Ornstein, he has made it very, very clear. Arsenal were told that Ollie Watkins was available. Villa have never, ever told Arsenal that Watkins is not available. So this is what happened. Arsenal initially went in with a £40 million bid, as opposed to what Fabrizio, reported earlier, that Arsenal had gone in with a £60 million bid. We went in with a £40 million bid, and Villa said they are open to selling Ollie Watkins, but they value him at 60 million euros. Now, of course, the comment section is going to judge this one. Should we have paid 60 million euros for Ollie Watkins? That's where Villa value him at. And I'm so shocked that many of you, by the way, when we did that story on Ollie Watkins, many of you told me, Kosi, Watkins at 60 million is too much. It is not too much. Harry Kane at 30 went for 100 million. Let me tell you, there is something about strikers these days. If you want a striker to score for you goals, go for the older ones. Like, just go for the older ones. Kane, Lewandowski, Benzema, they've got this longevity about their careers, and you love to see it. So Arsenal go in for Watkins. That is good. That is ambitious. And Villa say, add 20 million. What basically that means is that Villa were willing to agree a deal between 50 to around 50 to 53 million. Because Villa have clearly said through their sporting director, Monchi, is it Monchi, that they have PSR issues. And they actually say that the big chunk of money they have made in January from Duran is going to go to PSR. So Villa were more than willing to go and sell Ollie Watkins in January to run away from PSR. And Arsenal, bloody hell, we didn't do the deal. Like, what better time for you to snatch a player like Watkins from Villa than now when they're struggling with PSR and all this crap. So anyway, Watkins was available. Arsenal inquired. We were told it's 60 million euros and we never responded again. Should we have done the deal? In my opinion, absolutely. I don't think, like, apart from Isak, and Arsenal are not sure they'll get Isak because we've chased Isak for forever. Apart from Isak, I don't think you're going to get another striker that is going to guarantee you immediate impact and goals like Ollie Watkins. And for me, 50 million euros for a 29-year-old who is going to give me 4 top seasons in a very good team, Champions League and Premier League, I would take him all day long. I mean, look at this. How much did we spend on Gabriel Jesus? How much have we got from him? How much did we spend on Alexander Zinchenko? How much have we got from him? So if you brought in a guy like Ollie Watkins, he gives you 4 solid years. For me, that would have been a very good buy. But what is the official explanation coming out of the Arsenal trusted sources as to why we didn't sign any players? There are 2 reasons why Arsenal have not signed players in January, and both of them have not convinced me, and they're very, very embarrassing. Reason 1, Mikel Arteta made it very clear that if a player is not going to be coming in off his list of long-term targets, he doesn't want to see it. He doesn't want to do the deal. And in my own opinion, that is absolutely genius and stupid. Listen, it's genius because you're building a team and you want to make sure that whoever comes in is the right player. Absolutely right. But also, you don't want to spend a lot of money on players that wouldn't be part of your long-term vision. That's okay. Why it's absolutely stupid is you are in a crisis. Like, if you have had any training on crisis management, you know that flexibility is one of the tools you've got to have in your toolkit to deal with crisis. You've got to be as flexible. You've got to bend, and you've got to have the ability to bend and bend well. I think Arsenal are not as flexible. I don't think we're as flexible as the Manchester City that have spent 200 million in January. I don't think we're as flexible. I don't think we're as flexible as Villa. Look at what Villa have done. Like, look at what Villa have just done in this window. I don't think we're as flexible as that. And that's what really hurts me. So the first reason is that Mikel Arteta thinks the market didn't have his long-term targets. Hell yeah, the market didn't have your long-term targets, but there was a Kavica Kvaratskhelia and Nico Williams. Bloody hell, if I was to get Kavica and I didn't get Nico, I wouldn't really mind. He is a genius of a player. I wouldn't really mind, right? So again, I think it was a lot of laziness from this Arsenal team. If there is Omar Mamouche there, and your target is Šeško, what is the difference between Mamouche and Šeško? Like, really, what's the difference between Mamouche and Šeško? Guys, tell me, what's the difference? Don't tell me Šeško is better, because he is not. He is not. Mamouche has outscored Šeško in the same league. So he is not better than Mamouche. So for me, that's why I'm saying that this window has been pure disappointment, laziness, and it just shows the lack of ambition in this team to win this season. The second explanation that has been given, apart from Mikel Arteta not wanting to spend money on the wrong players and willing to wait for his long-term targets for the summer, is that Arsenal have financial issues. Let me explain. So Arsenal do not have a problem with the profit and sustainability rules and regulations, which are primarily for the Premier League. But they are saying that Arsenal, and this is according to Tom Canton, Arsenal have a problem with the European financial fair play. And basically, the European financial fair play is a little bit different from the profit and sustainability rules of the Premier League. The profit and sustainability rules of the Premier League will allow you to make a certain amount of losses for a period of 3 years, right? So you don't have to be profitable, but you don't have to make, I think, you don't have to make more than 100 million in losses in 3 years. So Arsenal are okay within that limit. But what is limiting us is actually the European or the UEFA financial fair play rules, which mean basically say you have got to spend approximately within the region of what you bring in. So if Arsenal are making like 200 million, right? You cannot spend more than 200 million. That is the financial fair play. You've got to spend money within the limits of how much you're making. Now, if that is the case, maybe. But even one player, even a loan deal, why that doesn't make sense is that a loan deal would be within the financial fair play situation of Arsenal. A free transfer, like go and get Willian. If we had gone and gotten Willian, I would be angry because it's a panic buy. But I would see that my club is ambitious and they've done something. But doing nothing at all, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. The market is over and looks like same story again. Arsenal did nothing.